This one, I just could not hold my tongue for putting this one out on the social media and also talking about this in this live stream. Now, I for a long time I was a fan of Sam Harris, and I thought he was, a brilliant mind in today's age. He was pushing this like atheism thing. I followed a lot during that movement. I read a lot of Richard Dawkins. I like Richard Dawkins' writings. But Sam Harris went just off the deep end when Donald Trump became the president of the United States of America. This is when you can have people that are genuinely seem like smart people just absolutely lose their mind and go bonkers over one particular thing. So just because you're smart in one particular specialized field, or you have a lot of knowledge on one particular subject, doesn't mean that you're smart in all aspects. But this is often what comes out of academia. And this is why I am an advocate for the separation of academia and state. Just like the founding fathers of the United States were against the idea of church and state. They wanted the separation of those two entities. And I believe we should be going in the same direction when it comes to academia. I think these institutions should not have the power that they have in influencing public discourse, and because it's become politicized. Not only that, is that the institutions are now destroyed because they wield so much power in politics that now the politicians go to academia and influence academia. So we no longer have decent science anymore. We have the science. It's the church of science anymore. We don't have science because it's so irrationally, in my opinion, politicized. And this is how things have been going. He's a very smart guy when it comes to, and I followed him for a lot of what he was, his work in his field, in brain science, and that's what's interesting to me. So like, the science of how the mind works and all of this stuff. And he's a big proponent of people, even though he was so anti-religious, he always advocated for things like meditation and that. And I agree with all of that stuff, but he lost his mind absolutely. So this these are my words here. I said, what a plutocratic, self-righteous, anti-democratic twat. Sam Harris is so high on the knowledge he has in a specialized field that he believes he's smart enough to know what's best for you all. Consent of the informed majority be damned. And this is in response to, he was on a podcast called Trigonometry, and I like the show. Interesting dynamic is two hosts, and they interview together, and but they had Sam Harris on, and he absolutely embarrassed himself here because of his take on, well, the removal of Donald Trump. Let's just let him speak for himself. This is just absurd. I'm gonna get my headphones on for this so you don't get an echo. But absolutely just mind-blowing.
Children in his basement, I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden, but.
So right out of the gates, what? He could have had children in his basement and I wouldn't have cared, but whatever.
I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared. Right, it's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right, or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like
Sorry,
it's like a.
So it's infinitesimal. Why don't you just say it's small in comparison? People that use big words for the sake of using a big word annoy me a lot. There's no point to doing that except to stroke your own ego, and that's all you're getting out of it. Most people listen to a person who uses a word, or it looks like they just went to a thesaurus and tried to find the big word for the little thing that they're talking about. It's embarrassing. I mean, that's a bit of a personal hit on his character here, but it's what he's saying here. It's what he's saying. He's saying that it wouldn't matter how bad. It doesn't matter how bad what Trump or what Hunter did or what Biden did, even if it was Biden and they're enriching themselves by selling the country off to dictators in China and embezzling and all this stuff. It wouldn't matter because it's nothing compared to what Trump did. And this reminds me of another clip, and this one cracks me up so much every time. And this was from the news where a guy is so upset about Donald Trump, and he really just just let him speak for himself.
Is this unprecedented to arrest a former president for not turning in documents?
A former president that had committed this many provable criminal acts.
But what are the provable criminal acts, I guess?
Provable criminal acts. Well, I'm done talking. President that...
I'm done talking. As soon as I have to make a statement, an affirmative statement, and then you just asked, what do you mean by that affirmative statement? I don't know. I'm done talking to you. Get out of here. And this is what Sam Harris is doing here. And then he's saying it's so bad. It's so bad what a democratically elected leader was. He didn't care. And let's just continue listening to this.
Compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University.
Oh, okay. So that's your example, Trump University. So what is Trump University? Trump University is a story about a side business that Trump was trying to do, where the product sucked. He had this business where it was like, I'm going to teach you how to be a real estate mogul like me. Look at me, I'm a big successful real estate mogul. So he makes this class about this how to be Orange Man. You know what I mean? And people didn't like it, and it sucked. It was a terrible it was a terrible product. And what happened? The people sued him for a bad product. And it just closed down, and then he paid. He owed them damages for selling them a bad product. That is worse than embezzling taxpayer money overseas, selling secrets to foreign countries, and using your power to enrich yourself in foreign because of the power that you wield. No, having a crappy university is so much worse. It's so much worse in the eyes of Sam Harris. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Right. Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view. Right.
Is worse than negotiating crack with prostitutes. This is really this guy. I mean, he's so smart elsewhere, and this is just so dumb. This is just and you can see, look at this guy's face. Look at the look on his face. Just like these are the words coming out of your face? Like, is that what did we do here? Did we get the wrong guy for this interview? I thought we were going to be talking to one of the smartest guys on the planet. I thought, isn't that what we scheduled in? What's going on here?
Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was.
Absolutely, it was a conspiracy to deny the the proper functioning of an electoral process. Absolutely, and he's okay with that.
Absolutely, right. But I think it was warranted, right? And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
That particular piece.
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
No, the subverting democracy, you dummy. What? The kids in the basement you think was like the controversial thing that you said? No, it's the subversion of democracy, and the fact that you would be okay with that. Now, by no means am I, and for the terms of service on YouTube, by no means am I saying that anything went wrong in any election, and all elections up until this day have been super, super clean. They're the cleanest that they could ever be. This is my disclaimer. Let's just move on with this.
No, fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing.
A lot of people would beg to differ. By the way, she's gone. She gone. The Cheneys are all gone now. That's the end of that.
Right. Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power
to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like, if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon, if it's like if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy? Like some of.
Okay, on his last point there, when he's talking about the asteroid. So what he's done here is now he's actually making an analogy that Donald Trump is like an asteroid and it needs to be stopped. Now, if there was an asteroid hurling towards Earth, do you think 50% or more people would be content on saying, no, I want that asteroid here? It's a bad analogy. It's a bad analogy because there is a huge amount of people that voted for the guy to be the president of the United States. Nobody's voting for an asteroid to hit the Earth, Sam Harris. You're supposed to be one of the smartest guys on the planet here, and you can't even put together a literary device called an analogy that makes sense to the situation. I really disagree with that entire premise of it being this horrible thing that's about to attack or destroy the Earth. Even though you believe that Donald Trump was going to destroy the country and all of that stuff, it's a very, very bad analogy. It's a horrible take. Apparently later he came out with a non-apology on his Twitter to tell everyone that no, he didn't mean what he said, but without apologizing for it. Can I find this actually? Why don't I get? And this is why I said, what a plutocratic, self-righteous, anti-democratic twat. And that's exactly it. Is this idea that society should be run by all the smart people. Well, they're not all smart about all the things. You know, you may have a guy who's really, really good with neuroscience, like this guy, and is completely out to lunch when it comes to the idea of democratic rule and how, well, we could just, let's just skirt democracy for my cause because it's a bad one. It's you guy's a bad guy, right? So I don't like him. Let's just entirely skirt democracy for this. There is a podcast clip circulating that seems to be confusing many people about my views on Trump, which is understandable because I wasn't speaking very clearly. No, you were very clear. We just went over this. You were very clear that you were okay with the idea of the subversion of democracy because of the asteroid that's coming at Earth, that 50% of the public is voting for the asteroid to hit the planet. Nice analogy, smart guy. So for what it's worth, here is what I was trying to say. So this is this type of BS that you hear a lot of times from people who believe that they're overly smart. Is the so what you thought is not actually what was going on. And here, let me over explain to you why you're wrong about what you heard. Get out of town. Get out of town. No, just admit what you've. And here's the thing. If he came out today and just said, you know what, I don't know where my head was, I'm totally wrong about that. What a backwards idea to want to subvert democracy. What am I thinking? It's just, I don't know. I lost my head. I don't like Orange Man. He says rude things to people, and I don't like him. And I lost my head. Just come out and say that. It's just the thing. I had it once. A friend of mine, and I had this once. A friend of mine was saying something about Mexico and said it was South America, and I was like, no, it's in North America. And he's like, no, it clearly isn't. I'm like, dude, I'm from that continent. This is when I lived in Japan. And he didn't want to be wrong, so he went and looked up some Wikipedia article that said most people consider Mexico to be on par with geopolitically with South American countries. And he's like, see, I told you I was right. And it's like, oh, dude, it's right there. Use North America. There's a country in there called Mexico. It's just one of those things, right?